Hello, welcome to the MuseScore Café for today, Wednesday, May 13th, 2020. My name is Marc Sabatella, and this is my regular series of weekly chats where I pick some topic relating to making music with MuseScore, and we talk about it for a while. So today is a little bit special, unusual, in that I will be premiering the Corona canon that those of you who have been following know that we've been working on the last few weeks, and it's done as far as I'm concerned, and I will be premiering it shortly. I didn't want to make the premiere right at the time I started this, but I figured we would take it's only a few minutes long, but we would take a little bit of time out towards the beginning. So before I do the full premiere, I figured I would talk about it some, maybe take some questions, etc. Um, so I'm going to kind of talk through, for those of you who, whether you've been following it or not, the brief summary of what we've done is I put out a call to say, hey, let's all submit a melody that I can assemble to form a canon. And our model for this was the Pachelbel canon in D, which is not the canoniest of canons. It follows a particular pattern, and that enables it to do what it does. And so it's a special type of kind of limited canon. So no, I haven't been anywhere. This is the Corona haircut here. This is the sitting in a chair in the backyard while my wife cuts the hair. So that's what this is. But thanks for noticing. The model here is that I came up with a chord progression and said that would be, in fact, I should load that up. The chord progression that we all started with was just a very simple 1, 4, 5, 6, and then 2, 5, 1, and then a 5 chord. I got, I believe, 21 submissions from people, and what I'd asked people to do was submit a melody or up to 4 melodies. Most people did submit 4, a couple people submitted fewer, but the idea being that these could be independent melodies that would then be assembled into a canon. The idea of a canon is that one voice enters with a melody, and then the next voice enters with that same melody, at some point later. In this case, it's going to be every 4 measures, another voice enters. So it's similar to what's called a round. A round is a particular type of canon, but there's a lot more things that can happen in canons, which, I didn't really take advantage of because there's only so much that you can do in this sort of collaborative thing, working with what you have. But let me just talk through the beginning of it that we already saw. The first melody here, and what I've done I've labeled all the melodies as far as who submitted them. So the first melody comes in. Now the next melody comes in. And when the second melody comes in, the second melody is coming in here. But then the violin, the second violin part, has the same melody. Basically, this is just a copy and paste job into there. And then 4 measures later, the viola enters with that same melody. In this case, down an octave. And then the first violin melody is now repeated in the second violin. And then a third melody comes in. And I think I'm going to actually enable, I am using the MuseScore 3.5 alpha here. I think I'm going to enable the fancy new continuous scroll option so I get to see how that works for us. Smooth pan, that's the one. So there's all sorts of, I guess a couple of different settings that I can do. But what this will do is when the music scrolls, we'll see the cursor kind of stays steady while the music scrolls. So then we have a fourth voice comes in. The cello comes in now. Right, and then a fourth melody comes in here. So it's a 4-voice canon for at least a while. I bring in more melodies and so forth, but at some point in this thing, you're going to notice I let a couple of the parts drop out, and then it becomes just a 2-voice canon. And I do this for a couple of reasons. One reason is that harmonically it became harder. We have this really nice little bit of harmony that happens here in a couple of the parts, but it only works when it works. And then again, it's going to happen here. So it works when it works, but there's a lot of times when this clashes. But it's a beautiful harmony note, and I was encouraging people to use those sorts of things. And then this melody ends up using the same harmony note. And another factor in why I split this up and why I let the other 2 voices was this is when I switched to the melodies that involve triplets. And I'm watching the clock here to make sure I don't miss my own premiere. Still got like 5 minutes. But I do want to finish talking through this. And I also want to make sure that I'm not missing any important comments. So let me scroll down here, make sure I'm seeing them over here. All right, good. Let me pop this out over here so I'm seeing it better. All right, because eventually, after the premiere, I have some other ideas about collaboration, more about the techniques of collaboration I want to talk about. That'll be, I don't know, I think kind of interesting. Oh, what is this? I accidentally have to, all right, so that's a little bug. When I deleted things, I left some rests behind. Make sure that's really, yeah. Okay, so, in fact, I'm just going to upload this thing right now while I'm thinking of it. Okay, so this is when the triplets kind of come in and take over, because several people had melodies based on triplets, and I wanted them to work well. I mean, you can have triplets against 8th notes or triplets against 16th notes, but I was definitely trying to make this, I don't know, to make it work as well as I could. Right, so now we've got the triplets happening. The first triplet started to enter here, and I let it be okay. Right, there's some overlap of triplets and 8th notes. That's not a problem. I do it a little bit, but now it's more steadily into the triplet mode, and then when I get here, now it's all triplets, right? But what's happening here is it's what's called a double canon. So I have this triplet melody here, Decadici's melody, and then it's repeated over here. Right? I occasionally, oh, this note is off by an octave too. Look at that. I was going to say I sometimes deliberately changed octaves of things to make them work up, but this one just got wrong. So I'll update this when I'm done. Yeah, sometimes I changed octaves of things and was off by one note. Like the very first note, I decided I would have in a different octave than it was originally to make it all line up better. Anyhow, this is what's called a double canon in that